Hi everyone. So it took a little bit of time for me to get back to the video um, and tune into what I want to speak about today. And I want to call it the compassion trap because I feel it's the best way to explain it. EMC and the energies that I channel often refer to this thing they call human mind constructs. And I think compassion falls under one of these, and it's a beautiful thing. And when we truly relax into it in an inspired way, it's amazing. But when we go into the automatic, I should feel compassion, how does the other person feel? And that we use it as a way to not feel us, or to diffuse a situation, or to not get drowned into our own emotions, as a way to stay a little bit out of it so we don't get sunk in. Yes, but at some point, understanding that compassion applies to us as well, and that we are feeling emotions that maybe we don't think belong there, or maybe are not allowed to be felt or shouldn't be. And part of our compassion, by turning our observation to how the other is, or how we should be feeling about this, we sort of avoid feeling. And that's what I refer to as the compassion trap. So I want to ask the energy, ask the guidance, how do we not fall into the compassion trap? Or how do we have compassion for the outer world and our inner world at the same time? How do we make space for the emotions that we don't want to have, or we don't think we're allowed to have, or that don't seem to make sense in a situation but are still there, while still understanding what is happening in the outside world? So yeah, I want to go into that and see what comes out. So these last few days are really about that. These last few days have really been about what happens when we do fully unroll the scroll and look at all the lines of text that are in it, and not just label it as one thing, as too hard to deal with, overwhelming, just angry, just sadness. What happens when you turn that accepting that accepting heart, the accepting stance also towards yourself, and you really open that scroll and say, there is anger, there's frustration, there's sadness, there's pity, there's revolt, there's revulsion, there's disgust, there's hope, and there's a mixed bag. And understanding that it's not wrong to look to the outside world as a practice to accepting that everything is a mixed bag. And it's not wrong to look inside to say that here is also a mixed bag. And we really feel that to bring the word compassion with the fact that things are a mixed bag, and I am allowed to be experiencing a mixed bag of emotion, and the other people around me are allowed to be experiencing a mixed bag of emotion. And the reason that things are mixed bags of emotion is because you are multifaceted. There is a part of you that desires to go fast. There is a part of you that desires to succeed. There is a part of you that desires to be abundant. There is a part of you that desires to have lots of friends. There is a part of you that desires to feel freedom. There is a part of you that desires to have children or not have children. There's a part of you that desires a job. There's a part of you that desires to be solo entrepreneur. There's a desire that there's parts of you that desire many different things, but in your environment and in the way that you've been brought up or programmed, there is a feeling that these desires that you are made up of are not all conducive to one another. That following the path of one will hinder the other. That saying yes to this means saying no to that. And all humans are built of all these facets that don't seem to stick together into place because they seem to want opposing things or think to want this without that. And so it's not possible to have. And it creates all of these inner tensions that are reflected out into the environment, into the surrounding world. And just to know that, to feel that, to accept that, to take that in, it just takes some of the tension out. It's like, oh, so there are parts of me, like in everybody else around me, that feel contradictory, that feel like if I were to say yes to this, I would be saying no to that. And it creates tensions and frustration. And that's okay. And that's step one. And that's compassion. Whether you get to that understanding or that insight from looking on the outside world and seeing that it's the case for so many people, maybe it's the case for me too, or looking inward and saying, well, it's the case here. Look at this, it's a mess. And then maybe thinking, if it's a mess in here, possibility that it's the same for other people around me. So whether it comes from you seeing it inside yourself first, outside of yourself, or both simultaneously, doesn't matter. It's understanding that we are made up of these seemingly contradictory desires. And that's a big part of this held together pack, because when you were moving towards a desire of expression, let's say, as a child, and some circumstance around you made you think that expressing wasn't great. If you had the desire to be a public speaker and you've been under the impression since that moment that expressing isn't good, then you have a conflicting desire inside of you, because you have the feeling you have something that is pushing you in a direction, but a concrete experience that tells you that this is a no-go place. So that push-pull, that disturbing, that confronting level of tension, it's not imagined. It's not created in your mind. It is reality. There's a desire pushing me in a direction, and there's some parts of my experience that show me that this desire isn't good. And it leads to people feeling like they can't trust what they want, they can't make it happen, that their inner compass is screwed up, meaning, well, what I'm attracted to or desiring to accomplish, or the steps that I would like to take, I know that I can't. So none of the inner guidance can make sense when it is perceived in this way. And what we want to bring out, how we want to bring this back to the compassion trap, as it was stated or presented, is when you can turn that understanding that I am a big bag of emotion, that they are inner contradictions, and then you can give yourself space, give the world space to find itself, It allows you to let the world be as messy as it wants, because there's a part of you that realizes I'm just as messy on the inside, because there's things that I want that I feel I can't have. There's things that I would like to experience, to express, that I feel that the world won't accept. And that inner tension is costing you a lot. And it's what you're experiencing in the world right now. And to connect to compassion in a new way, in a way to say that I understand this chaos. I understand what is happening because it is a reflection of me. And to be able to no longer dissociate from all the things you don't like about the world around you, but to see it with your heart in a state of ultimate compassion, because seeing the world as untangling its knots so it can make sense of what it wants to create is a reflection of what you can gift yourself as well. So making space for seeing these contradictory aspects of you, seemingly contradictory, because we really want to stress that whatever happened in some point in time, if you were to try again the experience, the result would be different, because you are different, because the context around you is different, and it doesn't have to repeat in the same way. And especially whenever you have insights, whenever you have movements in a way where you understand things differently, that things sunk in, it's impossible for you to repeat the exact same result, because you are no longer the same. And these insights, these understandings, these moments of, okay, I hadn't seen it like that. Once you've experienced a few of those, you know that you are not the same as you were before that thing came in. So you will not repeat. And when the situation comes that is similar, it's understanding, even if it has a similar outcome, I learned something different from it. So I am still moving forward, even if with KPIs or performance indicators or the traditional way to look at it, I cannot see improvement, but I can feel an improvement because I feel different about it, because I understood things differently from it. So bringing in compassion as a tool for growth instead of a reason not to look in. That's how compassion helps you evolve. It's no longer used as, well, of course, they couldn't do any better, and I have to accept that that's that, because that isn't true compassion. Compassion is saying, it was messy, it was painful, it was difficult, I didn't enjoy it, but I understand that we didn't know better. I didn't know how to receive it differently, they didn't know how to give it differently. We did that, and it's not something I want to repeat. And that's compassion. It's compassion for you, compassion for them, the situation. It's compassion on all sides. It's being able to see it for the wholeness of what it is. It was still a step forward, even if it's hard to name and we don't really know forward into what. It's improvement on other things that could have been. And tuning to that energy, that frequency of compassion is much more wholesome. So if you find yourself feeling compassion for another, remember that it's only half the equation, because so how does that make me feel, and how do I hold that too? And then how does the whole situation, how can I hold the whole of the situation? And no one is saying that as soon as an event happens, you must be able to see everything from the greater perspective, but really that eventually you'll get there. And that's when you will have reached a true level of compassion. Now, we hope that makes sense, and that it brings you maybe a certain curiosity to be able to move along in your understanding or your experience of compassion.